waiting on you.
We can't now. Unless you want all this in there too.
Yeah, we want all this in there too.
We would have did that.
Let's go straight into Compton, get this party started.
Fish Life Podcast, DJ Chris Black, and to my left, your right, Freaky Billy Lawson, your late for guy. What's poppin', Billy?
I'm really beyond words right now. I don't really know what to say, think, or do. Or
You know, you did something today that I don't normally see you do, and that's wore jeans while fishing.
It was cold.
Was it kind of chilly?
It was freezing.
Was it kind of chilly?
It was 30-something degrees. It's April, people. What is going on with this weather?
The only thing we were missing was snow, because it got almost cold enough.
Yeah, the good news is it didn't just kill the fishing. You know what I mean? Like, it didn't just kill the fishing. It didn't just kill the water tips. I will say this, though. It was, we had big bad storms, like a lot of trees down around Lake Fork last night, and got there this morning, and this was by far, we've been talking about all the big crowds, but by far the emptiest I've ever seen Lake Fork in April.
Really?
Today.
The cold snap scared them off.
For those of you that are listening to this tomorrow when it airs, today was Monday, April 13th, I think. Whatever it was. Yeah. So it was really cold this morning. We had big storms last night. The lake did get a little bit, Main Lake especially, got dirty. Some of the creeks that don't get as much flow stayed really clear. Some of the pockets and creeks stayed clean that don't get the flow. But the Main Lake did get dirtied up. It was obviously extremely cold today. And I'm sure the fishing, it was definitely tougher, but it wasn't tough for everybody. And the water temp didn't just fall through the roof. The water temp was still in the 60s. So, we got to remember that when we go out there, we're cold. We're miserable. Like this morning, we were freezing on that open run.
Oh, I'm sure.
But, I even told my guy this morning when we started, I said, well, we got to remember is these fish ain't nearly as cold as we are.
Right.
They're just not. So, it's good. The fishing's good. Today wasn't as great as it has been, but the fishing's been really, really good.
It's been really, really warm. When I walked outside this morning to go to work, it's always, we fished in much colder this year already.
Yeah.
But whenever it's been warm for so long, you kind of get acclimated.
You get acclimated. So we had that conversation this morning. I'm like, as a fishing guide, you're out here every day. And you get out there in the wintertime and you fish in that 30-degree weather or whatever, right. 35, 40 mornings, are all cold in December and January. You just keep fishing in it and you get used to it. And then by the time you get kind of to mid to late January going into February, you're kind of sick of it.
Right.
You're like, bro, I'm just tired of feeling cold all the time. Like I'm used to it. I can handle it. I'm just tired of feeling cold. I want some warmth. I want some sun. And then you finally get it. And so when it turns back cold, like it was like 38, 40 degrees this morning. I've gone out we've both gone out mornings way colder than that and been fine. But for some reason this morning I was in pain, bro.
Dude, that wind was cutting through me.
I was in pain. It was miserable to start out with physically, that's for sure. But it is what it is. It's Texas, and the weather will do what the weather will do.
You get all 4 seasons in a week sometimes.
You can. What's it say? I seen a Dr. Seuss meme one time says, "Will it rain? Will it snow? Will it sunshine? I don't know. I live in Texas."
That's right. That's right. That couldn't be more true in days like today to prove it.
Yeah, absolutely.
So let me ask you this: as far as when you got fish that are pulled up and you have a cold snap like this, they're still committed to the beds, correct?
They'll pull off them, and they'll be a lot harder to catch.
Gotcha.
The sight fishing today sucked.
Really?
Yeah, so when it gets a sudden snap like that, and those fish have been on beds, those fish that are on beds, they'll still be up there. You might still see them cruising around. You might still see them on their bed. But boy, they're hard to get committed and locked in, get enough to bite.
Because I've always heard, people say that the weather doesn't necessarily pull them off the bed, but when you have such a dramatic drop like we had, that obviously does something to them.
It doesn't pull them off the bed. They're still up there, and if a brim runs up there, they're gonna bully that brim off that bed.
Right.
But as far as being aggressive enough to where they're dumb enough to bite a piece of plastic going in there over and over again, no, they're just not that committed. Right. They're a little bit more hesitant to be aggressive. Everything for them slows down. Mm-hmm. Fish are cold-blooded creatures. So when they get a sudden shock of cold trim water, everything slows down in their body. Their blood flow, their metabolism, everything slows down. And when you get tired and sluggish and slow, you don't really get it. You don't want to fight anybody either.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
No, I'm with you. Yeah, absolutely.
So it's like, it's one of them deals. Those bedfish will kind of pull off, and But it's not a big. I mean, we still caught some bedfish today. We still had some bedfish. We still saw plenty. It's just not as. The deal is it affects them negatively, but it's not like the end of the world. It's not like you just go out there and zero. You know, like you can sometimes in the winter on the wrong call or in the fall. For God's sakes, the fall when it's already cooling off, and then you get like a really bad cold front and get on the wrong side of it. You can. I mean, it's like there's not a fish in the lake.
Yeah,
that's not how it is right now. I mean, these fish are far enough along. Yeah, that water temp drop down real quick and shock them a little bit. Absolutely. Right. But it's still in the 60s. Like, you can still go get some fish.
You can still go get big.
And the beautiful part is there's so many big fish in catchable positions. You can still catch big fish. I saw one today. Now, we didn't catch her because, I mean, you just don't always catch fish. But I saw the biggest fish of the year on a bed that I've seen today. So they're still up there.
Yeah. Well, hey, that's a good current conditions breakdown. I forgot to tell you something.
Okay.
Dude, we got a special guest tonight.
Oh, yeah, we do got a special guest tonight. We got an extremely special guest tonight.
Yeah.
Coming all the way from the West Coast. I bet I know one answer to one of our 2 questions for our guest.
I bet I do too.
Because he's from the West Coast.
That's right.
Mr. MDJ.
Methiolate Daniels Jr.
It's not Mark Daniels. It's Methiolate Daniels Jr. after that Lake Fork.
We made this decision for him. We just haven't told him yet.
He doesn't know this yet, but his new name is Methiolate Daniels.
He's about to find out, so stay tuned.
We are going to talk to MDJ, and we're going to go in depth and talk to him about a lot of different things, about some of his background. We're going to obviously talk to him because we're the Lake Fork kind of deal, so we're going to talk to him about his experience here at Lake Fork and that tournament, his awesome 85-pound day that he caught 85 pounds of fish in a sewer ditch or whatever it was he was fishing in.
Culvert.
Yeah, the neighborhood culvert over there. Unbelievable. One of the finest fishing performances we've ever seen, hands down. So we're definitely going to talk to him about that and just talk to him about life in general and what's going on these days with these guys that are tour pros. What are they doing? So we're going to get into all kinds of things with MDJ. And if you've never listened to Mark Daniels Jr. for whatever reason, stay tuned and tune into this because MDJ is one of the most easily likable guys you'll ever. He's really, really easy to like. He's fun. I can't wait to talk to him. He's fun to talk to. We will have a great time talking to MDJ tonight.
Yes, we will. Hey, how about you just get him up on the phone?
You want me to just go ahead and call him now?
Just call him.
Okay, let's just go ahead and call him.
Just call him.
You got to fill the gap. You can't just let the air go dead, Chris. Like, you got to talk about something while I'm down.
Everybody was kung flu fighting. MDJ.
MDJ, coming in hot.
Hello?
Mr. MDJ, how are you doing, sir?
Good, my man. How about yourself?
Man, I'm doing great. It is great to finally speak to you. You know, my name's Billy Lawson. We've kind of talked to you know who I am because we talked over text. But I got my buddy here, Chris Blackman. He helps me host this podcast. And, man, we're thoroughly excited to have you on.
Right on, man. Well, yeah, dude, I'm likewise, man. I'm happy to be on. Sorry for all the, the communication mishaps, man, and all that. But, it's been pretty crazy times. And, of course, Easter Sunday yesterday wasn't going to work. And I didn't even dawn on me until Easter Day. But, yeah, man, I'm glad it worked out, man, and happy to be here.
Absolutely, buddy. We're glad to have you. And hey, man, we start our deal off when we have guests. We have 2 questions that we ask every guest just to kind of break the ice a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yep.
All right, Chris, hit him with some questions.
All right, you ready for this one?
I'm ready.
All right. So first of all, Biggie or Tupac?
I'm definitely from California, so that's a no-brainer. Tupac.
Heard that. You're in good company.
Yeah. We called that before this deal even started tonight.
That's a no. I can't even, and I love Biggie too. Don't get me wrong, but I got to keep.
But you couldn't even process it. I get it.
Yeah, I'm like you, Mark. I'm a fan of both. But I lean Tupac myself. But you being from the West Coast, like you might not be able to go back home if you answer
exactly. And it's that serious, man.
Absolutely.
Can't even, and we, like I said, we got a lot of love for Big. Don't get me wrong, but you cannot come through my neighborhood and not say Pac over Biggie.
That's right. I hear you, brother.
All right. So here's the second one.
All right.
If you could bring back a hairstyle, what hairstyle would you bring back?
Oh, see, y'all probably don't even know about this one. Or maybe y'all do. I don't know. I don't know how old y'all are. But when I was coming up, there was a hairstyle called the Gumby.
Oh, yeah. Kid and Play.
Y'all remember the cartoon Gumby?
Kid and Play, man.
Kid and Play, exactly. The Gumby was legit, and I never really could grow my hair long enough to get one, so I was always kind of envious of everybody that had it. But I definitely have to bring that back one time. Yeah,
that would be. I would love to see the old kid from Kid and Play hairstyle, the Gumby, Gumby.
Yeah, man. That's like late '80s, man.
Is that? Oh, now I'm not the most in tune with all the haircut terminology. Is that also known as the high top fade?
So the high top fade is just it's the cut without the slant cut into it.
Right.
You know what I mean? But once you cut that slant into it, then it's the Gumby.
Gotcha. Okay. Well, I appreciate you clearing that up.
Yeah, I got you. Don't worry, I got you.
Now, we've got to drop something on you because, okay, so I guide on Lake Fork full time. Chris helps me out with some of my business stuff, and he lives here. He fishes around here all the time. So we're Lake Fork fanatics. We have been for a long time with it being in our backyard.
For sure.
You put on quite the display at Lake Fork, obviously. We're going to talk more about that here in a minute. But I want to get to something first because as you put on this performance, we on our previous podcast episodes have spoken about that performance many times, and you did it with a certain bait, a methylate trick worm. And we actually have given you a new name. You're not aware of this yet, but your new name is now Methylate Daniels Jr., sir.
I like it.
It can be like your alternate ego on tour, bro.
Right. Like when Mark Daniels Jr. is in the house, like there's a little bit of professionalism involved. But when Methylate shows up, no holds barred.
What you might get. I like it. Yeah. It's crazy, man. It's like everybody, it seems like since that happened, there's been a lot of fish caught since then, of course, on the Methylate worm. And, man, I've been tagged on so many social media posts, of this and that and that and this. And it's like, I just did good on it that one time. I've caught fish on it all my life, right? It's just a very popular. And
it's an old school deal.
It's old school, man. I mean, like the old timers when I was coming up, man, that was like the deal,
Oh, yeah.
And, but man, everybody's kind of like associated me with the worm and the technique, which is cool. Don't get me wrong. But I'm like, guys, I hate to tell y'all, this has been around for about 35, 40 years.
Right.
At least.
But you brought it back in, man. You brought it back in the forefront of the public eye, and now you will. I mean, that's one of them deals that'll probably stick with you for a pretty long time. Where people will associate you with that.
That was a crazy situation, a crazy experience, and you couple that with ultimate timing. And I'm not talking about timing from myself. I mean timing from the fish wanting to be right there on that target, on that X when I showed up.
Boy, I'm telling you guys, and what was funny is going into that tournament, we were previewing it, talking about it a lot. I'm out there every day, all that good stuff. And it was the conversation for me was, I was saying, well, this might be one of the first, MLF events that we see one on a big swim bait, because I'm thinking about the main lake, shallow point deal, the windblown stuff, the clay bank, the pre-spawn stuff, because everything, the water stayed so cold. Well, then Monday or Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday roll around, and it's like first days in the 80s, no wind, bright sunshine, no clouds, and we had a moon on Monday night, a full moon, and man, those fish went into the no huddle offense and got to the bank in a hurry, Jack.
They did. They and if you follow it through that kind of to exactly what you're saying, we had all that warm weather, and you were out there every day, obviously. But you know the lake extremely well. This is my first time ever showing up at Lake Fork on top of all this. Yes. I did as much research as I possibly could online, etc. But I've never actually seen the pond, so I'm out there trying to run around and figure this out. And I'm struggling bad, man, in practice because, like you said, the water temps had been low in the low 50s, and they hadn't reached that point where that first wave really wanted to push. But then we had those 3 days of 80-plus weather, which got them kind of thinking. But let me tell you, through practice, they still were not there.
They weren't there yet.
No, because I was looking hard. I'm like, dude, they should be on some of this obvious, these bushes leading into these back bays, these, all that gator grass, like all the, just obvious pre-spawn stuff that you would assume to get bit on. You could not buy a bite.
Yeah.
And I'm like, dude, what is going on?
So let me interject something here if you don't mind. So just from being the home experience here, every single year on Lake Fork, and Lake Fork's a unique pond because it has a bigger name than any other lake close to its size. All the other lakes that have the same reputation, the reputation that Fork does, are way, way, way bigger. So we get probably more pressure per acre than anywhere does. So the fish are a little weird there. They're a little wonky. And every single year, right before that first wave just goes off, like it did on day one, those few days leading into that, sometimes the week, 2 weeks leading into that, it's like, it's hard. Like, it's the hardest fishing of the year, and you're scratching your head going, bro, it's March. Like, why is it so hard? And then all of a sudden, it's like a light switches, and you catch them everywhere you go.
Right. Yeah, it was it was just a perfect combination, man. Like you said, and I could kind of feel that. Of course, not having the knowledge or experience on Lake Fork that you guys do, but I felt that because I'm out there and I'm trying everything in my power. And I want to catch them shallow because I feel like they're going to be making their move out of the depths, transitioning into the shallows. And that's where I'm spending the vast majority of my time. Well, that wasn't working, so I'm like, dude, let me try some, like, off the bank main lake points, like what you're talking about. I was trapping and throwing swim baits and jerking, and I'm like, dude, this should be, if they're not there, they should be here getting ready to go there.
Right.
And I had a few bites in practice doing that, but it wasn't the deal either. I'm just like, I don't feel good about this either. And so really, I was very torn as to what I was going to do come tournament morning because I couldn't really catch them on main lake transition type stuff, and I wasn't getting them in the shallows where I thought they should be. So I was really, really confused. But I had found 2 fish on bed in that little bay where I caught them in there in Glade.
Bro, don't you dare call that a bay. That's not even part of the lake. That's just like a ditch somebody cut out in their yard.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's like you can tell it's man-made. I guess they probably wanted to have docks in there at some point or something. I don't know.
Yeah.
But I went in there and practiced with 2 hours to go in practice, and I just put my trolling motor on high and I ran around the banks, and I saw 2 on bed. I'm like, all right, cool. There's 2 fish, whatever. You know what you gonna do with 2 bass? You know what I mean? Catch them 2, and then that's it. But practice was so tough on me, I told myself, I said, all right, run in there, catch them 2, and then we'll go from there. We'll just keep practicing.
Get you started.
Hopefully we run into them, you know? So I get in there, and sure enough, I catch them 2 I saw on bed real quick, probably in the first 10 minutes. And then I'm like, maybe I should slow down and really look hard. And for your listeners who may not have been to Lake Fork, the water's not terribly clear, but it's clear enough to where you can start kind of making out if there were some shallow beds.
Yeah,
you know,
but you're right. You do. It's not one where you can just rip through there and see every fish. You have to take your time, or you'll miss a lot. Yeah,
absolutely, no doubt. And lo and behold, man, I slow down, put that trolling motor on low, start really looking hard, start seeing these light spots, dude. There were, I'd say, man, between 10 and 12 or 13 in there locked on beds. And it was just my day, dude. And I caught every single one of them.
Yeah.
And, and that's how we got got everything rolling like that. So that's probably the first period. I caught maybe 10, 12, 13 bass. All those fish were on bed. And a couple of them were what we call big, not necessarily Lake Fork big, but, these are high 5s. These are, 5'10s, 5'12s, fish in that caliber pushing 6 pounds. Very nice fish. And so I catch all of them, and I'm like, okay, off to a great start. I'm leading after the first period. I'm like, dude, this is it though. I caught all these. These are done. Like, now what? And I had already rigged up that trick worm. I had already had it rigged up, ready to roll. And man, I'm like, I wonder if they're going to be in this little subtle point in this little subtle canal, making their way into this little tiny bay. And that's when the magic happened, dude.
Yeah, absolutely. It happened.
You caught them all.
It went down. Now,
Yeah.
It was going down for real, as they say.
It was.
But yeah, you did. And I've preached for a long time. You did something that's very, very important on Fork. You got in front of the fish without being too far in front of them. You got right there where those suckers were coming to you that day. And I've said this forever. If you can be the first one on a wave of fish, like if you pull into a pocket and you're the first one that those fish have seen when they first pull in there, they're easy to catch. Like lake fish are normally so hard to catch. Like right now you go sight fishing anywhere on the lake and it's like these fish are kicking rocks before you even get within sight of them. But if you're the first one in the cove when they pull in, it's unbelievable. Like it's so easy to catch them. And I've often told people like you've never seen anything quite like sight fishing on fork when you're the first one in the cove to them. Like it's pretty crazy.
No doubt. You could totally tell those fish were unbothered. I mean, I was just in there the day before and I only seen 2 of them. So I don't know if they just pulled in that night or I probably was going too fast and I overlooked a few of them. But given the reactions, I mean, a lot of them were 1-2 flips, 3 flip fish, which those of you that sight fish quite a bit, you can spend sometimes an hour on one just to maybe get it bite. It may or may not bite, Well, and that was one of the reasons that I was thinking that the guy who figured out the main lake shallow point deal would win you guys' tournament was because A, y'all do count every fish. It's not a 5-fish deal. And B, sight fishing is not normally something that is done in a hurry. It's not something you can normally catch numbers on. It takes time. Like when you're sight fishing, the advantage of sight fishing in traditional tournaments when it's a 5-fish deal is you can pick the 5 you want and just focus on those and take your time and catch them. Absolutely. And kind of weed through all of the whatever you may not weigh. You go for the 5 biggest one you found.
That's it.
Yeah, and it was just the perfect storm, man. These fish were fresh. They hadn't seen anybody. They were unpressured, and they wanted to play ball. And I just so happened to be there, man, with a methiolate floating worm. And of course, I caught a lot of them too on a prototype bait, man. I've been working with Z-Man on. That's going to be a phenomenal bait whenever we get it released. But dude, that's what accounted for pretty much all of my sight fish that I caught. And then on day 2, I ended up just going kind of flipping and caught them all on that as well. But excellent bait. It's going to be really, really awesome when you guys get your hands on this one. 17 bass I caught on one of them. I only have 4 baits total. And between practice and the tournament, I got 17 on one bait.
That's impressive.
So that's pretty cool.
It's a little creature bait, right?
Yeah, it's just a crawl, but it has a very unique swimming action to it. Has a nice body to it. It's about 4 inches. You put a really big hook in it, 4-aught, 5-aught, no problem. And it just when you pitch it out there, man, it just immediately starts this very subtle but nasty little swimming action, dude. And it made out of that Elastec, so it's very buoyant. Sits right on up, even with that big hook in it, and they just can't stand it, man. They got to get it.
So the bluegill spawn will be starting here in the next couple of weeks. I'm going to need you to send one of those in green pumpkin, purple flake, please.
That's right. Yeah. Oh, it's a heck of a swim jig trailer too.
I'm gonna need that. Like we're gonna have to work something out, man. I don't know what we're gonna do, but
hey, listen. Right now I'm sitting on 0. I used the only 4 I had, and the only 4 Z-Man had poured. I got them and used every one of them that week.
See, man, y'all better take care of your boy now. Come on.
Oh, yeah. Hey, they working on it, man. It's obviously with all these challenging times we're dealing with right now.
Oh, man.
That was the hugest hiccup in all of this, man, because I was trying to get some that week. Like after the first day, I'm like, hey, I need these overnighted right now.
Yeah.
And they're like, yeah, we're not even in the shop this week. So it was kind of crazy.
Yeah.
But they're coming. They're coming.
That's great, man. That's cool. That's very cool, dude. Well, I got to tell you, man, you're right. Everything lined up. The stars lined up for you that day. You were in the right spot. I know that spot very well. Glade Bay is no secret to anybody that fishes Lake Fork. That little ditch over there is not always the most popular spot, so you did a good job finding that. But, I've been in there so many times that I know exactly what went on. But I got to give you some – because, opportunity presented itself. But, Mark, the execution on your end, and we've talked about this before, that was one of the finest single-day fishing performances I've ever seen in my life. You executed on every fish that gave you an opportunity in there in that day. And I fished this lake, pretty long time, and I fished that area a lot. And I've seen a lot of people come in and out of there. I've never seen anything anywhere in the neighborhood of what you did. And I've watched some really good fishermen go through that same area with a fine-tooth comb. And so, man, congratulations to you. Job well done. That was, as a fan of the sport, it was unbelievable. As a fan of the sport who lives on the, is on the lake every day, it was unbelievable to watch that go down.
You know that pond for sure. Dude, it was, I think what happened, what a lot of guys would do, and in most cases, I would have done this myself. You go through there, you pluck those ones off bed, and then you go, well, this is done, and you carry on with your day. Right. And especially in a little shallow bay like that, you just don't anticipate that volume of fish to be moving in and out of an area so small. And it just, when I caught the first one on the floating worm, the light bulb just went off. Because I knew I had caught all them spawners, so I'm like, that's not one of them sight fish I caught. That's a new fish. And the light bulb went boom. I go, dude, they're literally swimming in here right now.
That's right.
And so I just kept doing laps, man, and really focusing on the little entrance right there. And, dude, I caught several in there over 4 pounds on that worm. And it was just a phenomenal day, man. Phenomenal day.
And you really, I just couldn't get over the execution of what you did there because, and you also, what you did was you showed off Lake Fork really well because to have, and I don't know that the people that were watching understand if you're not from here, you haven't been to this area that Mark fished. Like for the people that are listening, you got to understand what we're talking about. If you were to power pole down in the middle of that ditch that you were in, you could make a long cast to any point in that ditch.
It hit the bank, dude.
Yeah, that's how small this area is. And, you just showed off what Lake Fork really is. To have that many quality-sized fish pulling into an area that small. And folks at home, that's not the only area on the lake that does that. It's not.
Oh, dude, I can only...
We don't all execute as good as you did.
We had a day and a half to practice that place, and I only saw a fraction of that. I'm scared to know what's swimming around in some of them pockets on that place.
We talked to a good friend of yours, Jacob, 2 weeks ago, and what I told Jacob was as good as it was when you guys were here. Now, right now, we just had a really hard cold front, and today was free. It was 38 degrees here this morning, so today is not the time to talk about this. But 2 weeks ago when I was talking to Jacob, and for the last couple of weeks, the fishing has been unbelievable, Mark. Like, it's gotten to a point now where we got kind of that first wave pulling back out. We got some more waves that are sitting out there waiting to come in, and then we got the current wave that is in, and you can catch them on the staging points, and you can catch them spawning from one end of the lake to the other, south to north. Wow. You can you can go anywhere you want to on the lake and catch fish right now. And when we're talking about Lake Fork, you can catch, like you were talking about, them quality, them high 5, 6s, a 7 once in a while. And then if you get in the right area, man, you never know what you're going to see. Buddy, I saw one today on a bed, and I got to tell you this because I know you spend as much time on water as I do, so you'll appreciate this and how rare it is. Because even fishing Lake Fork, seeing one like this is pretty rare. And I was telling my buddy Chris about it, but I saw one today. Now we didn't get to catch her. We couldn't get her to play ball at all. She was real deep on a bed where you couldn't really see her. But I saw one today that, to my best estimation, was 12 to 15 inches tall. And she was over the 24-inch slot for sure. She was probably 25, 26 inches long, and you couldn't put your hand across her back.
Golly. Yeah, it's one of those freaks, man. Dude, you guys got several of them.
Like, that lake is just unbelievable. And then you just, like, cruise around, and it's like, oh, there's a 5-pounder and a 6-pounder, and there's a 4-pounder, and there's a 5-pounder. And so it's a crazy lake, and you guys did a great job of showing it off. And, man, I wish some of the guys that were trying to fish on the outside could have executed too and really created the fireworks that I was thinking might go down. But, man, I can't turn my head at what y'all did because y'all whacked them, bud.
It was a good week, man. A lot of guys caught them. I think we got 2 over 10 and one right at 10, a 9-15 I think Tharp had. And
right.
Chrissy had a 10 and Atkins had a 10. I mean, we had side bets going, me and Jacob and the fellows, how many 10s were going to be caught this week. And I guess 3, which I was really close, but we definitely got surely 2 and one that you could argue, an ounce difference. But that place is probably one of the strongest fisheries. Not even probably. It certainly is top 3, I'd say, in the country, no doubt.
Yeah.
You can argue a few other places, man, but on average for quality, when you get bit,
yeah.
I mean, it's one thing when you go catch a bunch of fish somewhere, but when you get a bite on fork, you get a certain nervousness about you because it's like, oh my God, am I ready for this? Like, because you don't know what it is.
The anticipation is killing me.
Oh, man. Yeah, every time you set the hook, man, It might be her, and her could be anywhere from 5 to 13 pounds.
Yeah, it's
and anywhere in between.
Yeah, this is
between.
true.
Yeah.
This is true. This is true.
You know,
man.
we were making a joke about it, Mark, when Christy pulled in there. We were like, man, he has no idea that Mark just came through
Oh,
here
no,
and cut him off.
No,
But no,
so-
Casey Ashley, that's what it was.
Yeah, I know you couldn't watch the live coverage. So on day 2, I made a Facebook post about this. But on day 2, I'm watching live coverage because I stayed off the lake for every day except for one. I tried to get out of you guys' way as much as possible when y'all were here.
Sure.
And so you had gone through there and cleaned them out in that ditch. And then Fletcher, who was in second or third in that group, he was right out in front of you fishing those bushes and glade. And he was kind of fishing a more broad area, but he was right out in front of where you were.
Right.
And Casey Ashley's pulling in here, and they got the drone up, and it shows where he is, and he's right at the mouth of that drain that you and he just caught like 1 or 2 fish, and he's like, oh, I think I'm on to something. And I made a post talking about poor Casey Ashley has no clue that every fish in the county is sore-lipped right now.
That's crazy. You know, it's funny. I actually, at the end of day 2, Major League Fishing, we can't look at any live coverage or any of that, as you guys know, but the league sends out what's called a sizzle reel that we can utilize to post on our social channels to kind of get people geared to watch live that next day. And so that's the only piece of anything we can look at. And in that sizzle reel, I saw Casey Ashley power pull down over in that corner, and he had just caught one. It was like a 4-pounder off bait. And I'm going, I bet you that's one of them same ones I caught, you know?
It might have been.
And I saw that, and I kind of got the same little chuckle to myself. I was like, geez.
Bro, he has no idea.
He doesn't have a clue.
We didn't clean him up.
Yes, y'all did, man.
You took batting practice with them things.
So, Mark, I want to talk to you a little bit about, some of your other stuff. I mean, the Lake Fork deal, we could probably sit here and go on and on because I never get tired of talking about Lake Fork because it's my whole life. But
Sure.
We want to talk about some other stuff. Now, one thing I want to do is, we're not like a huge YouTube channel or whatever, but we get a few views here and there, and you're not regionally from here. So, for anybody that might be watching our channel that doesn't know, you have an awesome YouTube channel. What's your YouTube channel, bud?
Right on, man. It's just all my socials, just my name, Mark Daniels Jr. You can throw that into YouTube, man, and actually check out a lot of what you're hearing today on the podcast and kind of see it firsthand.
That's right.
Which is pretty cool. But I'm just trying to broaden my social platforms, man. YouTube's like the wave right now. I know you guys do a bunch on YouTube as well. It's just that's where it's at, man. And a lot of guys are looking for firsthand information on how they can become better fishermen, and channels like yourselves and other professional anglers. I mean, I try not to hide anything. I want you guys to see exactly what I'm using, how I do it, so that way next time you hit the lake, you could potentially tie it on, and you might find yourself in that same scenario, and it pay off for you.
So for the viewers of our channel, that correlates really well because that's exactly what, we've always, the way I tried to stand out was I was going to try to give up more of the goods than anybody else was willing to. Like, I want to give you all the info, try to help you as much as I can, and it sounds like you're coming from the same place. So for the people that are listening here that have liked the content that we produce, go check out Mark's because you're going to love his.
Awesome, man. I appreciate that too, Billy, man. Shout out there, bro.
You go ahead.
So, Mark, I do want to talk to you about one thing. I want to talk about what you did before you started fishing professionally.
Yeah. I worked in agriculture, man. Obviously, from California. I went to school, got my bachelor's degree in environmental science. Graduated, moved back home. Went to school in Alabama here. Graduated, moved back home to California, and started working as an agriculture inspector. And I did that for 6 years, man, before I hung it up and started chasing these fish full time.
So let me ask you this too. That transitions well into my next question. At what point did you realize, like, bro, I'm fixing to be fishing professionally? Like what kind of was it? The Federation National Championship that you won, or was it before that? Did you kind of think, hey, I'm onto something here?
That's a good question, man. It's always been a dream of mine. Like any of us fishermen, man. I've always dreamed of becoming a professional fisherman. But like many Americans, I didn't have the financial resources, man. I had a truck payment, boat payment. I'm barely getting out there on the weekends, but I'm getting out there, and I got love for the game, and I'm fishing every tournament I can afford. And Federation was always the direction I went because it was a very affordable event, for one, and it always led to a bigger event that you could qualify for to move up in kind of the world of bass fishing. So in 2013, doing just that, I made the national championship. I was the number one qualifier from the state of California through the Western Divisionals and advanced to the Nationals. Was very fortunate and blessed to win that. And so in 2013, when I won that TBF National Championship, I knew right then in my heart that this is what I was going to at least make a strong attempt at doing. So I told my wife, I said, we're going to give this 5 years. I'm going to give this professional fishing thing 5 years. We don't make it, we just go back to work.
That's great, man.
That is impressive.
That was my mindset anyways. And, we came after it, man. I packed my whole family up. We moved to Alabama. I didn't have much money whatsoever, man. I had $13,000 to my name. I remember. And moved to Alabama. At the TBF, they gave me a boat and a truck. They paid my entry fees, and they also gave me travel expense money so I could fish the FLW Tour. And so that's what allowed me to get my feet wet and really give this professional thing a shot. And really, that was the opportunity that afforded me the chance to do this full time, man. And it's probably been one of the greatest decisions I've ever made, man.
There you go. That's awesome. Now, I know part of that deal was that Living the Dream package. They kind of they filmed you guys. They documented your year after you won that package. Now, I think that was really cool because a lot of people got to know a really cool underdog working class guy story firsthand. So I think that helped a lot of people get to know you, and a lot of people get to like you, really. I mean, it's where my introduction to you was, honestly. And, dude, I fell in love with you. I thought it was awesome because I'm looking at you at that time, and I'm a dude that's working, trying to figure out how to work my way into the fishing industry as well, working a regular job. Right. And so it was really cool and inspiring to watch. But now, do you think that winning that deal and getting that Living the Dream package and getting that exposure right away has been a big help as far as helping your fishing career? Because we all know you got to catch fish to qualify. You got to catch fish to stay qualified. But to make a living as a professional fisherman, a big part of that deal is exposure and sponsor dollars.
Oh, there ain't no doubt, dude. Without sponsors, we're not doing this, Fishing is my entire life. I don't have, a lot of guys have other businesses and companies, and they do this and they do that. Fishing is my business, and it is my company, and it is everything I have is tied up in this game. But the whole circuit breaker documentary, which you're referencing, that was actually my sophomore season. So I completed my rookie year, Living a Dream deal, and then they brought that to me my sophomore year and asked me if I wanted to do that. And I was very reluctant at first, man. I'm like, I don't know, dude, if this is going to be a good deal. I'm having a camera in my face all the time. I'm fresh off a horrible season, my rookie season, horrible. And I'm like, last thing I need is extra added pressure of a camera in my face talking about, are you catching something? So I'm like, man, I don't know if I should do this. But sitting down, talked over with my wife, and I'm like, if nothing else, even if we do horrible fishing-wise, this is still going to be a huge opportunity to kind of bring my face full front and full circle to all the fishing fans out there, just like yourself. How you said your first introduction was through Circuit Breaker.
That's right.
And that's what we settled on. I said, let's go. I said, let's ride with it. And lo and behold, had a what I considered, especially with it being my sophomore year, I considered a breakout season. Had a really good year, qualified, made the Forest Wood Cup, ended up having a top 10 finish at the Forest Wood Cup. And, it was just everything was like kind of lining up. And that kind of generated, I think, in my opinion, and created my kind of core fan base. So like the hardcore people that followed Circuit Breaker, a lot of them still are, fans of mine today. I get
count me as one
about Circuit Breaker.
You can count me as part of that group, brother.
That's cool. See, and I think that's super cool, man. And without that opportunity, you could never relate. You know?
Right.
And like you said, it shows a regular working dude, man, like as regular as you could be, right? Taking a shot at something that they believe and love, and with a little hard work and passion, man, it can go a long ways. Man,
that's awesome. It was a fun deal to watch. Everything, one thing that I always tell people, and I'll tell you, one of the things that impressed me about you was, and I wasn't at the launch every day, but I was out there for one morning of the launch, and it was, I actually spoke to you just briefly about this podcast.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah, and I got to give you some credit on something else. One thing that thoroughly impressed me, was your devotion to fan interaction. You seem to go out of your way to make sure that you took every picture and you shook every hand and you spent time with every fan that tried to talk to you. And it was really impressive, man, because in any sport, it's not bass fishing. And it doesn't make the guys that don't do that as well bad guys. Some people's personalities just aren't cut. Like, they're uncomfortable with it. They're not cut out for it. But it was really impressive to watch you interact with the fans. And I told Chris was with me that morning. I said, man, that guy right there everybody's going to like him. He is so easy to like. And it's because you're genuine. You're grateful for the position that you've made yourself into. And you appreciate everybody that's taking the time to come and talk to you. And it's awesome, man.
Thank you, man. I really appreciate that, man. And I think a lot of that just comes from, man, a couple different things. Just my upbringing, for one. And then for two, man, I that used to be, I was that guy.
You right?
You know what I mean?
Right.
I was just right there wishing that I could, shake hands with Kevin Van Dam or get a picture or autograph or anything. So I don't take it for granted, like you said, the position that I'm in, for one, for sure. Very grateful to do what I do for a living. And then these are the people that drive the industry, the people that buy your crankbaits, the people that buy your rods and boats and trucks and everything else. Not to mention, they spent their time to come out to see us. The absolute least we could do is spend a little time to give back, take a photo, shake a hand, whatever it takes to kind of acknowledge them and make them feel like, damn, these are really cool guys, man, and they'll sit there and hang out with you and talk to you just like anybody else. And so that, for me, it hits home a lot with that.
Absolutely, dude. Couldn't imagine anybody saying it better than that. That's perfect. Now, one thing I'm curious about, because we all know the world is kind of going to hell in a handbasket. There's chaos ensuing everywhere you look right now.
Right.
So what does a professional tournament angler do without a professional tournament trail? Like, what is the life of MDJ right now?
It's crazy times, bro, as we all know, no doubt. But, I did an Ike Live last week, man, and this topic kind of came up. And I'm speaking, I guess, more from a tournament angler aspect than anything else. But a lot of tournament anglers, they don't fully understand, in my opinion, that there's really like two tournaments going on. It's kind of how I explained it. You got the tournament trail, which you're competing on the water, right, in an actual tournament event. But then you have the tournament off the water, as I like to reference it, which is basically how hard are you willing to work for your own brand and then all of the partners that you're associated with when you're not fishing a tournament, which ultimately is what separates you from the next guy on sponsor dollars. So with that being said, I just always try my best to stay on top of social media. Try to put good content out there that highlight myself as well as my partners. And during these downtimes, I have to be able to make an argument to my partners why they need to continue to pay me.
That's right.
So you got to get busy, man. It ain't but one way to do it.
Yeah. I mean, listen, in any game, the guy that outworks the rest of them usually wins. Right. I mean, it doesn't matter what the game is. And what's funny is about you bringing that up is, I have taken the road less traveled in the guide business out here at Lake Fork. And I have, I'm kind of was the only guide or the first guide to really go all in on the YouTube deal and do the vlogs and do the weekly instructionals and really go in depth and try to invest time in YouTube. I would take a day off every week where I'm giving up my guide fee to go film video content from my YouTube channel. And there was guys looking at me and telling me how stupid I was and how crazy I was because A, I'm giving up the guide fee. B, I'm exposing the areas I'm fishing to other guides and locals, and I'm killing myself is what they told me. Mm-hmm. Well, now we've reached a point. Where I did that for a couple of years. I've been doing it for about 3 years now. Well, now that all this chaos is going on, these guys are all. I mean, their income is based on guide trips.
Absolutely.
Well, buddy, as well as any. I mean, we get a lot of cancellations right now with everything that's going on. People can't travel.
I can only imagine.
People don't want to travel. So it's pure chaos going on around Lake Fork in the guide business with the cancellations and such. And meanwhile, I've done something where I actually get sponsor dollars like a tour pro does because of what I've done through the social media content. And so I'm sitting back going, okay, well, even if I don't run guide trips, I can survive for a while. Like,
Absolutely.
as long as I can keep producing content and keep getting to the lake, I can survive. Like, will it be as comfortable? No, but we can make it, you know? And that was my whole deal was I was very aware because I come from a father that was an entrepreneur. I come from a sales and marketing background, and I come from a entrepreneurship background. So I understand that this Lake Fork deal, this guiding deal, it can disappear at any time. It can go away anytime. And I always wanted, because I have, 2 young boys and a wife and a mortgage, and I always wanted that security of, if the guide trips stop coming, if Lake Fork's dam breaks, what am I going to do? And so I put the extra work in and worked, at night and creating content and took days off from, and I took that risk and that gamble, and it's paid off for me. Same way what you're talking about, just the guys that will invest the time off the water as well as on. I talk about my off the water money and my on the water money. It's kind of like you're talking about the 2 different tournaments. I look at the guide business the same way, man. And for any young guys that want to get in the industry, you have to catch them. You have to catch them. That's first and foremost. But if you want to last in this business and you want security in this business, you better do more than just catch them.
110,000% what you said, man. And I had to learn that. That's not something, and you had to learn that.
Yep.
That's not something that just comes in the handbook of
That's right.
fishing full time, whether it's guiding.
We all start out thinking we just got to catch them better than everybody.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, and it just a little bit of hard work goes a long ways, man. And I get DMs every single day from young guys. I'm talking 10, 11, 12. These little kids are kids. They're not even young guys. They're kids up to mid-20s, and they want to know, how to get sponsors. That's the number one question. How do I get sponsors? Well, these children, I'm like, guys, you really need to, right now at your age, you need to just focus on honing your craft and become a better angler, and then worry about sponsorships, in my opinion, secondarily. Because if you can't catch them, then this will never even come up as a topic of concern.
Well,
right?
Right, exactly. Yeah. A, you better learn how to catch them real good. But B, you don't have to go look for sponsors anymore. All you got to do is create content in today's world.
That's it.
Once you got the catching deal down and you're pretty confident in your ability to catch them and you want to put yourself out there, while you're putting yourself out there on the tournament trail or the guide business or whatever you're doing in the fishing industry, create content and post it on every social media outlet you can and outwork everybody in content creation. And I've never pursued sponsors.
Yep.
Every sponsor I have has come to me.
That's awesome. Oh, I beat them doors down, Billy. I beat them down when I first started out, boy. But it was crazy. I couldn't get a phone call. I couldn't get a return email.
Yeah.
I couldn't get a pack of worms, man. When you ain't got no name, you ain't done nothing in the game. they don't want to talk to you, man.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
That's right.
It came with a little success and then some hard work and perseverance, man. And then, like you said, then they started reaching out.
Yeah, they do. I mean, to me, I can't say that I've never pursued a sponsor. I'm sure that I have sent an email, that I've talked to someone and tried to do that. I guess what I meant to say is none of the current sponsorships that I have, my good sponsorship relationships, none of those did I go asking for.
Right.
The ones that last, the good sponsorship relationships that last, where they're going to do right by you, they're going to come to you. But you got to do the work up front.
That's right. Yeah. Most often, you're 100% correct, man. And I have several partners like that as well, and several that not several, but a few that I called and made the right contacts. But I was in position to do so also, and that's kind of important to say too. A lot of guys, weekend guys fishing at home and again honing their craft, just getting started in the tournament game. You're probably not going to get a partnership with any of these companies because you don't really have much to offer that company. But that's okay. Just get better at fishing, and later in due time, the sponsorships will follow.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, you got to bring value to the company in order for them to put investment into you. So, obviously.
No doubt.
Well, Mark, man, I know we've talked to you for a long time tonight, and I can't thank you enough for taking the time to do it with us, sir. I really appreciate it. I've enjoyed the heck out of it, bud.
Oh, likewise, man. Thank you for having me on, man. I'm gonna have to look you back up, man, when I come back out to Texas, because I will certainly be back to Lake Fork. You can count on that 110%. Right. I don't know when, but at some point I got to come back out there to the land of the Giants, man, and see if I can't lay into a few more.
Man, when you get back down this way, you holler at me. I would love to do some collaborative YouTube stuff together or whatever we can do.
Yeah, and, absolutely. I'd love it too.
Let's link up and we'll go get after them, bud.
Right on, man. Well, hey, thank you again. You guys take care of Lake Fork, man, until I get back over that way, and hopefully all this craziness blows over, man, so we can get back to normal life and fishing and tournaments and everything else, man.
Absolutely. Yes, sir. Thank you so much, Mark.
All right, boss. You take care.
All right, bye.
See you, man.
He's easy to like, folks.
Dude, you can't.
He's real easy to like.
Like,
he's just real easy to like. And
he's so good at explaining stuff too. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like his reasoning behind things and just his thought process as far as business, he's
good at articulating his own thoughts, which is a thing that I struggle with, and I know you do too.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Like that's why we're like, for all of our hyperbole about the Best Damn Fishing podcast, we're really not, because we're not good at articulating our thoughts sometimes.
Right.
Mark Daniels Jr. could host any radio show he wanted to, because he's really good at articulating his thoughts. He's a talented guy. He's probably worked really hard on that aspect too, I'm sure, because he's a guy, obviously, as you've heard, that just works really hard on everything that he does. He's a worker. And let me go ahead and tell you something, folks. Newsflash. Everybody gets to the top of heap in whatever they're doing is a really hard worker.
Sure.
LeBron James wasn't just because he was born, whatever he is, 6'9" and 260. That didn't make him the greatest basketball player on earth. No. It was deciding to not go to class and shoot 8,000 free throws a day. You know what I'm saying? Like, everybody that gets to the top of the heap of where they're at is an extremely hard worker, and there's zero exceptions to that ever. Zero. Yeah. He's a worker. He works on everything, and he does everything well.
The only example that I could even maybe try and argue would be John Daly. But John Daly was still playing golf when he was getting all drunk.
But the deal is, okay, John Daly sloughed it off when he got there.
That's what I'm saying.
If you actually look at the story of John Daly put in immense hours in the game.
True. Fair.
Too many.
Right.
To a point where it kind of monkeyed him up mentally, and that's why part of the reason he fell apart.
Right.
If you actually take time to listen to the John Daly story. So, boy, that dude, can we have like a podcast topic about John Daly someday?
Absolutely, because I love his hair.
I love his hair. John Daly is one of the most legendary American Is John Daly an American icon?
Absolutely.
I believe he is.
Yes. Oh, yeah.
I believe he is. Here's my deal. We're not a golf podcast, but
we can be for about the next 2 minutes.
And you're terrible at golf.
Yeah, I'm pretty bad.
You're real bad. Like, I've been there.
No, if being really bad was good, I'm pretty good.
Folks, he's extremely bad at golf.
I can bang that thing, though. That's about all I can do.
I mean, compared to your hillbilly buddies, a couple of them, I guess, but not past me. You ain't never hit one past me. Have you?
Yeah.
You've hit one past me?
At the,
what did I do? Hit a bad shot or something?
I don't know.
Okay. Anyway, we're Squirrel is being chased right now on this. Trey, we're off the rails. We made it a long time tonight before we went off the rails.
That was funny.
I don't even know where I was going with this anymore.
Well, no,
we're talking about John Daly.
No, you're talking about how bad I was at golf.
Well, first I was talking about John Daly.
Yeah.
But I used to play a lot of golf. I actually used to be in the golf business. I played a ton of golf. And John Daly is like, to me, he was awesome because, he embodied some things that maybe aren't the best attributes of, but he kind of embodied America. Like, I'm going to drink this beer. I'm going to smoke this.
Drink Miller Lite, bro.
I'm going to smoke this cigarette. I'm going to drink this whiskey. I'm going to play my guitar all night, chasing women. And then I'm going to show up at 7:30. Like, he was the real life Tin Cup.
You didn't know.
I'm going to show up at 7:30 still drunk, and I'm still going to whoop you. And the best part about John Daly was his game was like Long John Daly, ultimate power game. Can't really putt. Can't really chip, but boy, he can hit it past everybody. And the British Open is like the ultimate small ball game in golf, where you're supposed to hit it straight, control the ball, blah blah. Daly goes over there and wins 2 British Opens.
Yep.
Just smashing it. He's like, cool, these fairways are hard. It'll roll far.
Yeah. Boom. And when you say short, like none of those courses are short. But short for those guys, yes.
Well, it's not that the links courses are short. You just have to play under control.
Right.
Because they have rough that's up to your waist and bunkers that you can't get out of. And you have to play traditionally for a British Open, you have to play, the wind is insane. So you can't hit the ball. If you hit the ball far, that means you hit it high. Well, you can't hit the ball high in the air over there typically because the wind and all the hazards that encompass links golf, it just lends itself to a more controlled short game, like where you don't hit it as far, but you hit it under control.
Where you might have plenty of fairway for the driver, but you need to use the 3-wood because there's other obstacles.
Because it's narrow, and if you get in that fescue or you get in that bunker, you're done. Like you're throwing up a 6 or a 7, a big number. In a tournament that level, obviously you can't do that. But Daly goes over there and just
pound them,
lets it rip, Tater Chip, and wins 2 of them. Like, what? Like, Daly is the man, bro.
We do need to do a John Daly podcast.
We need to do a segment on John Daly in a podcast.
I'll do a week's long worth of research.
Do a bunch of research. We're going to go into John Daly.
It's going to be so great.
John, comment below if you want the John Daly expose.
Ooh, but hold on. I really want to save this for that, but we'll ask it again. So if John Daly was a fisherman on tour right now, who would he be?
JT Kinney, retired in the booth.
Boom. Done.
Hands down, he's JT Kinney.
Wow.
Just getting drunk in the booth talking trash about everybody.
Well done.
Or if you want to make, mandated, it's an active tour member, Mr. Worldwide Watson. James.
Oh, James Watson.
Mark Watson's a former Lake Fork guy, you goober.
No, that's what I meant.
Worldwide Watson would be the John Daly of bass fishing. Congratulations, Worldwide. You were the John Daly of bass fishing, big fella.
Dude, he's like Clint Boyer in NASCAR. They got to put him on a 5-second delay.
I would be so honored right now if I was James Watson. Not that James Watson listens to our podcast, but if James Watson hears this,
he's gonna love it.
Hey, folks, if anybody out there knows James Watson, tag James Watson right now. Get him involved. Send this to him. You should be honored, sir. You were the John Daly bass fishing.
That's pretty.
I wish that I was the John Daly of guiding, but that's 100,000% Ronnie Kelly.
Without question.
100,000%. That's Ronnie Kelly. He's the John Daly of guiding.
He just had to dye his wig, and he gone.
Well, and get 8 inches taller and 100 more pounds. Even young John Daly was a little fat.
They got zoom on cameras.
Which Kelly's kind of getting that proportion now. He's getting some belly on him. But the height deal, I don't know what we're going to do.
You think Ronnie can do a backflip?
If he rolls. Like he can do a back roll.
How big is that front deck on that scooter?
That dude, hold up. That dude's 5'6" and can't touch a 7-foot rim. He can't jump.
Really?
No. Oh. He tries to act like he's super athletic. He's not.
I don't know, dude. I seen him trying on some shoes one time at the old academy. He looks pretty quick. Like, I don't know that I saw legs moving. I was like, wait, how'd he get there from there?
What's bad is the people that are listening to this have no idea what we're talking about.
Sure they do. I'll be willing to bet you a lot of the listeners.
Our buddy Ronnie Kelly, Captain Ron, also got on Lake Fork, posted a video one time where he was trying on some new shoes at an academy. And he put them on and took off sprinting down the store and then sprinted back and be like, yeah, they make me run faster. And he bought them. That sucker is goofier than a run over duck. I can tell you that much.
Oh, my gosh. That's funny. So, yeah, dude. Oh, yeah, we're going to do a John Daly podcast. That's going to be great.
By the way, hopefully you guys enjoyed tonight's podcast. And if you're still listening, news alert for the World of Your Lake Fork Guide news. Next week, we will have some content from a big buddies trip to Big Sam. Me, Zach Watts, Dylan Watts, Dinkmaster 5000, a buddy of ours named Michael Sims, another buddy of ours named John Chance, and I think maybe somebody else, I don't remember. We're all going to Sam Rayburn. Don't worry, we're not staying in a hotel, we're not exposing ourselves to anybody. We've already been exposed to each other because we're all family anyway. But we are staying in a house out in the middle of the woods on Sam Rayburn, and we are going to go fish. They're going to be there for 3.5 days. I'm going to be there for 2.5 days. We're going to film content together. We're going to get out there and get after some fish, and there's probably going to be a plethora of hijinks pulled.
Well, I tell you what, too, if there was a lake right now that was as good as any in the country.
Oh, Sam Rayburn's the best lake in the country right now.
Yeah.
It is. The best lake.
Yeah.
Which means we'll probably go down there and not catch them because we suck, but we'll try. Won't be for lack of trying, Chris.
Yeah, where there's a will, there's a way, and I got a couple buddies that are named Will, so I think you'll be all right.
So, do they know somebody named Wei? Is that what you're saying?
Well, you're gonna have to find
I'm
Wei.
confused. They have like Vietnamese buddies. What are we doing?
You gotta find Wei. You
Okay,
find the carp, you find the bass.
Oh my God! Find the carp, you find the bass. That doesn't even make any sense.
Vietnamese fish are carp.
Oh, okay. All right. I don't know what that has to do with bass. Off the rails, really bad. Chris, do that thing you do.
Will and Wei, have a good day.
Oh my God, it's the worst one yet.